Hi, yes, so I've got some questions for Anne-Marie and Simbi today. So welcome and thank you both for joining me and agreeing to be in the hot seat, so to speak. So I'm sure you'll agree, a really powerful and thought-provoking video. So firstly, I'd just like to hear your thoughts on what we just heard. If I can come to you first, Anne-Marie.
Yeah, thanks, Meagan. I love the fact that you've got a background that says questions. That's just amazing. Well, anyway, I've seen that video before. It was a while back. I think it must have been when it first came out, and I'm still impacted by it. I think it's so powerful. I heard a very similar story when we started doing human factors, and we started looking at human error and looking at how we look at, how things are, how we look at the start to the end of how things could have gone wrong rather than blaming an individual. And I thought that this is very, very in a similar vein, and that ended in terrible disaster, because it was a young lady who actually died because people were so rude in the sort of like emergency room, and people didn't dare speak to the anaesthetist because he was so rude. But actually, I think that for me, it says such a lot, and I think that it's almost like I want to say to everybody, watch this, it's really important. You all need to know it. You all need to know that being kind can have such a massive difference. So I think the first thing that just leaps out at me is everybody should know it, and everybody should do it and be aware of it, and please. So that's how it makes me feel.
Absolutely, a very similar reaction. The first time I watched, as I say, that was the second time for me. And I thought for 15 minutes, the messages it gets across and the education about the subject, it's fantastic. Simbi, what were your thoughts on viewing the video?
Right, thank you. Oh, have I got my volume on? Yes, yes, I have. So yes, I had not watched that video before. I just watched it not very long ago, this afternoon, and to be honest, it made me feel I could relate to a lot of what he was saying. I felt, especially at the very beginning, I actually was starting to feel quite sad, because it had reminded me of a time when I was on the receiving end of incivility. So yeah, it's great, and I think as Anne-Marie said, I think everyone should watch it. But I just thought I also wanted to just throw on, just mention that the meaning of civility and incivility, because I think we started when we were talking about it, and maybe we're just assuming that everyone perhaps is picking up or inferring the meaning of it from what's been said, but I always don't want to make assumptions. So I will attempt to explain what civility is, especially from what I've seen in the video. So civility is formal politeness and courtesy in behavior or speech. It is the opposite, obviously, of incivility, where we have rudeness that's been said in there, and all the other stuff, such as microaggressions, etc. So I think the video raises our awareness on the impact of our behavior on others. It highlights about bullying, about harassment, and it promotes cultures of civility and respect, which is what we need. Thank you.
Thank you, Simbi. That was really well put, and thank you for sharing your personal reflections. I think you raise a really good point there, that there might be something for us to think about, raising awareness of civility and incivility and those actual meanings. Anne-Marie, what effects do you think witnessing incivility might have on patients?
Yeah, good point. I have a thing about what we walk past and role models. So I think that if you witness incivility from a junior perspective, I worry that people would think that that's okay and that that's all right to do. So I think that, I suppose what I want to say is that it's not all right. And the impact on patients is that they feel that they can't say something, or there's no point in speaking up, or and it does affect, you know, their treatment. It affects their recovery. It affects everything that they do. And we know that people sort of respond so much better to positive, you know, what's going around them that's positive, and actually they don't respond well to things that are really negative. And those negative things can be language, behaviour, attitude, how people are towards them, and those microaggressions are really impactful without people realising how much they impact. So I think for me, people witnessing it comes in is a double whammy thing almost. Junior staff witnessing, thinking it's okay, people walking past it when they've observed it, poor language or anything to patients affects the patients in so many ways that we can't describe almost. So yeah, I think it's just huge in every single way, in every just so many different ways.
And would you say it was fair to say that impact on staff and patients can lead to an overall, a general lack of confidence within the services we're providing?
Yeah, and also, can you imagine from a carer's perspective as well, if patients, carers, families, loved ones, children are observing us treating their family members like that, then they lose confidence in us as well. So there's a loss of confidence in everybody. So the patients lose confidence, all of the carers and loved ones and families back home, they lose confidence in us as well. And the reputation of the organisation goes down the drain really almost. So, and who would want to work in an organisation that that's where it's acceptable, or where, you know, it's okay to do that? So the impact is huge on every aspect of our working lives. And I did a big piece of work recently whereby people leave a team. They don't leave a trust, they leave a team, because it's the team that makes them feel that they've got something to belong to. And if people are nice to each other in the team, that goes a long way.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. And with that in mind, what can we do to raise awareness of the issue of civility in the trust and the potential impacts that you've described?
Yeah, so I feel that, like I said, we've got a really good comms capacity now. They've got a really good understanding of what we need to be pushing out there to make sure that staff are aware. I think it's about putting this agenda onto all teams, meetings, even small team meetings to big team meetings to committees. I think it needs to go from the very bottom all the way to the top, and from the top all the way down to the bottom. I think we all need to live it. I think we need to witness it. We need to role model it. And often, you know, that culture and the way that we do things starts at the top, but actually we're 9,500 staff. We've got a lot of places to get into with this. So I think that it's about everybody's responsibility to talk about it and to call it out. Back to Simbi what says, call it out. If you see it, don't accept it.
Excellent, thank you. And Simbi, what advice would you give to people who feel that incivility is something that they should expect and accept?
My advice is, do not accept incivility. It's not something that you have to put up with. I know that sometimes people think that they have to normalize bad behavior, or to accommodate, to try and change their behavior in order to accommodate that the way they are being treated. If you are being treated with disrespect, if you are facing microaggressions, bullying, harassment, you should speak up. You should speak up. And your first point of protocol, or where you can speak up first, maybe the first place is your line manager. And if you feel that you can't speak up to your line manager, you can speak to the Freedom to Speak Up Guardian. That's my role. And also we've got lots of other routes within the trust that you can speak up via, and I will be mentioning some of these later on. But I just want to send the message to say, please do not put up with incivility is unacceptable. Our trust value, it's against our trust values, because we have trust, honesty, respect, and teamwork. And as that video showed clearly, for us to work as a team, we need to be respecting each other. We need to be mindful of our actions. I actually like one saying which says, respect other people's feelings. Even if it doesn't mean anything to you, it might mean something to them. Just respect other people's feelings. So it's very important. And should you feel that your feelings are not being respected, don't suffer in silence. Speak up. Thank you.
Meagan, can I just add something, actually? Something on the back of what Simbi's just said. I think that storytelling is really, really good in this organisation, and I think storytelling goes a long way to getting a point across. So, you know, like that doctor there, that consultant we just saw, those stories were really, really impactful. It kind of like brought the story better to you. And I think it's not about just going out to people and saying, you know, be nicer. It's about be nicer because, and actually giving a little bit more of a kind of, a bit more of a story behind it, and what you may well have received, and the impact you might have had, or an experience you might have had. And then the other thing I just thought would be worth saying as well is I thought the slides that Alex showed us were really, really good. I've seen them before, but there's one, I love infographics. I think infographics are brilliant. But the one where it shows like the 20% increase in, productivity, 50% decrease in patient experience. I think having something like that maybe on our computers and little posters and a little bit more out there, really, so on the number front of what it does. So yeah, those are the bits I wanted to add to that.
Thanks, Maria. I was going to come back to you. Thank you both. And I just want to say to Simbi as well, I love how I get a real sense of your passion every time you speak. It's really positive and fantastic. So I did have just one last question to end, and I was just thinking about the pressures people have experienced at the minute, the different pressures. I wanted to end by asking, what do you both do to unwind and relax and to look after yourself at the end of a tough day?
We get these really weird questions on question and answer to the execs as well, and Paul said careful, yeah, no. Simbi, you go first.
For me it's easy.
I'm gonna say.
I just iron clothes. I'll take a big ironing basket and start ironing clothes. Well, the other thing that I do is to take walks. I walk a lot. I've got a lake not far from me, and I walk around the lake. When I'm feeling really, really tired or something is on my mind, I can even go around twice or 3 times, just going around and listening to some music, and I find that quite helpful. Yeah.
So I did join boot camp. And I used to go 3 mornings a week at 6:30 to boot camp, and I absolutely loved it. I used to play a lot of badminton, and of course I'm older now, so I can't play badminton, but I used to go to boot camp and I loved it. But all with lockdown, I've not been able to do that, so I've taken to painting. And you're going to laugh because my husband says don't stand still because you'll paint. Yeah. So last weekend I painted the whole fence, and I've got a very, very, very long fence and a big wooden thing. So I've painted all of that, and this weekend I've already bought the grey paint because I'm going to paint a big brick wall. So I'm painting a big brick wall this weekend. So I tend to paint. I do a lot of painting. I don't know what it is. I really enjoy it.
That's brilliant. Thank you.